terms of what's happening financially in the space of AI. Not just the job losses that are coming from it, but also the massive profitability. What the artificial intelligence revolution is doing is it's creating a wider and wider income and wealth gap. And it doesn't matter how much people like me talk about it. There are some people who are just gonna either not listen or they're not gonna act on it. They're just gonna sit there and and just I don't know, watch Cardi B videos or something. I don't know what people are doing, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna sneak up on them, and then one day they're gonna wake up and just and be miserable and not know why. Well, let me show you a screenshot to let you know what's going on right now and why this is a pretty big financial deal. So let me share my screen real quick. Um, let's see here. I'm supposed to have, here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Meta and their stock price. Did anybody see what the Meta stock price did yesterday? Meta went bananas. I think this company, it's approaching a $2 trillion market cap. So look at that. It shot up like crazy yesterday. I made a bunch of money from this because I told you all that I have an extensive investment in Meta, a massive investment, because I just really think Zuckerberg has it right in terms of predicting the future. And he's taken some chances, but I think they're going to play out in a positive way. And you see here, this is just one case where you're seeing a lot of good movement. Now, if you go back and you look at the stock over year to date, it's up 30%. The last year, it's up 64%. Last 5 years, 200%. And then you can also look at Microsoft as well. Microsoft also released their earnings yesterday, and that's been another another barn burner. So let me see if I recall. So let me do the 5 days so you can see it. There we go. Microsoft didn't go up as much as Meta, but they're actually a $4 trillion company now. They're the second $4 trillion company in history, and this is where the money's being made. So right now, all these companies, these AI companies, they call them hyperscalers, are just making ridiculous amounts of money. And okay, and someone said, okay, if you have tremble, turn your it down a bit. I have twang in my voice. Is maybe it's my country twang. Maybe I'm just sounding like a country boy right now, and that's what y'all are hearing. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. But I hope you guys can hear me well enough for me to keep going because I don't want to keep on. I don't want to keep on messing with the microphone. I'll just play with it later. But anyway, so you can see where this thing is going. This is not a mystery. This is not something that this is not a surprise. This isn't sneaking up on us. Some of us are choosing to prepare. Some of us are choosing to put our head in the sand. And I would encourage you to not be one of those head in the sand kinds of people because the AI is shifting everything. And one of the biggest things that I've mentioned for sure consistently, and I've said it about 80,000 times, is if you're making investments, I highly suggest putting money behind these companies that know how to make money from AI. And the reason I believe Microsoft is making so much money is because they're laying people off. They're getting rid of their college educated, master's degree educated computer programmers and engineers and middle managers. And this is allowing them to replace them with AI agents. The agents are getting better every single week, and so the agents now are doing a lot of the work, and Amazon is going after the robots. The robots come after the agents, and when you get the agents and the robots in, then you've got things like driverless cars. Your grandkids probably won't have to get a driver's license and still be able to go wherever they want. And who knows, maybe they'll be able to get a car when they're 11 years old because they don't have to drive it or fly it or whatever, because they actually do have robotic flying cars in China. China is living 50 years ahead of us, it seems. And they actually do. If you've been watching, following the tech, if you go to China, there is this car that they put out there where literally the car, it's an EV that goes like 1,000 miles on one charge or 800 miles or something crazy. And it has like six wheels. It can do all terrain. And you can drive it somewhere, get out of the car, get into your drone and tell the drone where you want to go. The drone will take you where you want to go without you piloting the thing at all. And the car will follow you on the ground and meet you at the landing spot of the drone. Anybody did y'all follow what I'm saying? Like that, like that's crazy, right? And this is just 2025. This is old fashioned compared to what they're going to be able to do 30 years from now. So this technology, it's all kind of syncing together. You've got the AI, you've got quantum computing around the corner, which is going to be AI on steroids. So super intelligence is impressive. Super intelligence with access to quantum computing is literally when we're living with aliens. Being a human being is pretty much out of style at that point. The technology is just through the roof. They've even made predictions to say that there are newborn babies right now who are going to live to be like 400 years old and stuff like that. That literally they won't have to actually die. Like dying will be something that people used to do back in the old days because they didn't have access to the best medicine. So with that being said, one thing I heard Zuckerberg mention that I thought was interesting was he talked about this personalized superintelligence. This which I think is a nice little twist to what I'm Team Zuckerberg because I'm a shareholder. I told you I'm really mad. I'm really mad at. I have a love hate relationship with Facebook because I told you all how I've literally lost 3 million followers on Facebook and Instagram combined. I lost 500,000 on Instagram and another 2.5 million on Facebook. So but it's crazy. Like, but we still kept going because we would just have all these different pages and stuff, and you just rebuild and you keep moving so you don't stop. But it was like hard. It's like crap, man, this sucks. But still, though, I've been a heavy investor in Facebook and Meta because I can put my feelings aside about that part of it and say they've got the formula. And one thing that Zuckerberg did in terms of a twist on superintelligence is he's come up with his team, they've come up with this concept of personalized superintelligence. Personalized superintelligence is where you have this super intelligent bot that is trained specifically on your life, on all your text messages and everything else, and they can just guide you through your day and help you make perfect decisions and help you get along with your relatives and everything else. Now, obviously, there's a privacy issue, there's a security issue. At some point, I'm sure some terrorists will get a hold of the AI agents and do some things that we can't even imagine. But then at the same time, you can't write off human ingenuity in terms of just coming up with a countermeasure to deal with that. For example, one area that I've mentioned as well is cybersecurity is a growing industry as a result of the emergence of AI. And so with cybersecurity becoming a thing, particularly in the quantum era, maybe companies like CrowdStrike, CRWD, that's their ticker, or Zscaler, ZS. I think 40% of Fortune 500 companies use Zscaler. CrowdStrike is very good at this cybersecurity stuff. Maybe that's something to look at. So you just kind of have this whole new world that's emerging, and it's either an opportunity or it's going to be a threat. If you're holding on to 2005 as your template of how the world is supposed to work, I think you're going to be shocked and disappointed. But if you accept 2035 and 2045 and you start thinking ahead, then you can kind of be ready for all this. So, for example, I mentioned to you all my favorite AI ETF, which is AIQ. AIQ, I've been talking about it for a couple of years now. AIQ has been making money like gangbusters. Let me see if I can pull that up on the chart. It's a Kathy. No, it's not a Kathy Wood thing. I don't think it's a Kathy Wood thing. Let me see here. Let me see. The AIQ price. Let me see it. I thought AIQ would have gone up with Facebook and Meta blowing up like it did, but it only went up a little bit. But it's gone up enough that I'm happy with it. So if you look back at AIQ this year, it's done pretty well. It's the Global X Artificial Intelligence and Technology ETF. It's gone up 28%. The last 5 years, it's gone up about 100%. So you kind of doubled your money, right? Which isn't bad. This year it's up 17%. And it's a little less risky than investing in individual companies because they tend to they give you sort of a piece of a lot of different AI companies. So okay, so Lady Emma says she owns AIQ, and of course we got our favorites, Oklo and stuff like that. It's just but my favorites don't have to be your favorites, right? So and also just to mention this, at the All Black National Convention, stocks, options, ways to make extra income, family investment clubs, That's going to be all on the menu at the convention. And the beauty of it is that it's a different experience when you're all in the same room and you can actually form connections. You can write down each other's phone numbers and make and connect and form groups. And I want you to be prepared when you come to the convention to network with other people that have the same idea. So you can form together. You can form a book club together and study together. You can form an investment club together and make money together, or at least compare notes. You can go through classes together. Everybody at the convention actually gets free access to 1 year of our economic elevation circle, which that's $1,000 for free. If you're there, you get there. We'll give you the code. We'll let you in, and you can form the connections with other people that are at the convention, so that you can form your own economic elevation circle, which will allow you to explore and find opportunities together and create things together. And because the thing about investing is it's cool to make money by yourself, but it's really fun when you're doing it as a group, because it becomes a learning experience and a connection, and something that's a little more real, almost like traveling. Like when we take our trips together, the B1 trips, they're not really like it's not really like something we think of as a business, because it doesn't make that much money. Honestly, it takes so much time and planning and everything else. It's really like just the idea that I get to sit there and I get to talk to you, and we get to hang out and we get to do stuff together and we get to live life together. And also we're making money. Money is a part of it, but money is like a lubricant, in the sense that it makes life fluid. It kind of greases the engine to sure all the gears are not grinding to the point where it's wearing you down. Because I think a lot of times when you're kind of on this sort of in this sort of rut, and you're doing the same thing every day, and then you're frustrated because it's not working, you're frustrated because it's not getting you anywhere, you feel like a hamster on a cage. Well, you never know, like you get a little bit of extra income or a few new ideas or just a new experience that shifts your perspective, that goes a long way. So I find it that I know for a fact, here I am, I'm supposed to be the teacher, but I can tell you, whenever we take a trip together, I'm literally the student. When we went to Egypt, I didn't come back from Egypt as the same guy. I came back from Egypt thinking, oh, well, maybe we can go spend the summer in Cairo. Or, oh, wow, you mean people, you mean here? You don't need that much money to live like a king. You can have a maid, a servant, a butler. You can do, the people here are so nice. Oh, that's right. You do have countries where people actually are not mean to each other and stuff like that, right? Because the people there are just wonderful people. And so I would encourage you to sort of look into these things, because remember, here's the thing. With AI emerging, AI is here. AI is going to be all over the place. It's just the beginning. One thing that AI is going to do is it's going to enhance and increase the value of being human. It's going to increase the value of the human experience. It's going to make sort of the idea of gathering with other human beings that much more relevant, because I know that if I see you and I'm in the same room with you and I shake your hand and I give you a hug and I'm talking to you, you can't be a deep fake. You can fake a Zoom meeting. There are people now, there's AI now where someone could literally be in a Zoom meeting with you and and act like they're talking to you, and be some pretty girl or whatever you need them to be. And literally it's a fake person. And so with that, you have email, all that. We got scammed. We actually got scammed on email a couple months ago. Somebody reached out and told my manager that that Kendra G wanted to interview me, and it didn't even make sense. They offered money and stuff, and they needed to do something with our Facebook account to get us linked up or something or whatever. And the guy literally took 2 million Facebook followers. He just took our pages. Like, I had this page called Financial Juneteenth with Dr. Boyce Watkins. It had 400,000 people. The page was just, it's there, but all the followers are gone, and I don't know how they did that. And I tried to talk to Facebook. I was on the phone with them for hours, like 6, 7 hours, literally, and talking to people. It was weird. They could not get my pages back. And so, long story short, it's just one of these things where you're just living in this world where things don't make sense. And it made me paranoid. Like, I don't even, you can't pitch me anything on email now. I don't even open email hardly anymore. I don't, you can't just call me and get me to do something. I need to see you. I need to talk to you human to human, or you got to be connected to a human being that I trust. And then maybe I'll consider dabbling in stuff. So the world's just shifting, and I would say, if you do it right, the good can outweigh the bad. And so I think human experiences are really powerful. So anyway, just so you know, tomorrow is the last day you can get tickets for this year's convention. It's going to be August 21st to the 23rd in Atlanta. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. This year we could not. Normally we have a whole children's track and everything. We could not do it this year because the convention's bigger and we have partners that we're working with. We don't partner a lot, but we're partnering with the National Business League, and because they're appropriate partners, they're pro-black like us, and so we couldn't really get the children's thing going. But if you bring your kids and your kids are over, say, the age of 5, they can get a lot of value from it. Now, new little tiny infants and stuff like that, that's a little bit of a different story. But the hotel's fancy; it's really nice and it's a good experience. Bring them to Atlanta, and really, in fact, when you talk about introducing kids to wealth, I personally think that there's no age that's too young. If I was to ask you, when's the first time your mama took you to church? Most of y'all, if you went to, if you're in a church going family, you don't remember the first time you went to church. Well, when's the first time you heard R&B music? You don't remember what the first R&B song was that you ever heard, or the first rap song you ever heard. Or, well, maybe if you're older, you might, right? If like I remember hearing Curtis Blow and stuff like that back in the 1970s, but really, you don't, all that doesn't register because it started so soon. Do children need tickets? Yeah, every person that has a seat, we have to have a ticket for that person, because that is taking the space, right? So yeah, so kids do need tickets. If you have another question, you can go ahead and feel free to pop it in the chat. And so yeah, so feel free to join us. If you haven't gone to a convention before, just ask somebody who's been there, or if you've been there, say something in the chat so others will know about the experience that you had. Anytime we've ever had a convention or taken a trip together, it's always been absolutely extraordinary. So feel free to participate. If you want to travel with us, you can just text the word travel to the phone number 87948. So text travel to 87948, and I will send you information on our next B1 voyage. Our next one, our big next international trip is going to be Ethiopia. So anyway, let me move back to AI and investing in what's happening now. Let's talk about Microsoft and Meta and why their earnings announcements were so strong and why they made so much money. Well, first off, with Microsoft, you've got a big business in cloud computing. They literally posted $76 billion in quarterly revenue, which is insane. They actually the revenue grew 18 to 24% in a year. That's insane to make that much money and to grow that much. And it's the Azure cloud segment that delivers, they said 75 billion in annual revenue. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely nuts. Um, and now Meta, they're what they're doing is they're applying AI to their advertising engine, and so their AI tools led them to earn 47.5 billion in revenue just for this quarter alone, if I'm not mistaken, and that blew away the earnings expectation. The analysts expected about $5.80 a share. They delivered $7.14 a share. That's big. That's really big. So they have these advantage ads and Reels personalization and llama powered tools. So what Meta is doing with AI is different from Microsoft and the other companies. Microsoft is trying to monetize AI in their partnership with OpenAI. They have almost like a frenemy relationship with OpenAI. OpenAI, Sam Altman's company that runs ChatGPT, they have this crazy deal where Microsoft gave them a bunch of money and a bunch of compute resources. And I don't think they expected OpenAI to blow up the way they did. They released ChatGPT, and ChatGPT, went insane, and now they're making it's ridiculous. I think they have 100 million subscribers or something crazy. So OpenAI is trying to disconnect and become a for-profit company, but they have agreements with Microsoft, the way Microsoft owns pretty much all their intellectual property or something crazy like that. And they own it all the way up until the achievement of artificial general intelligence. And so they're getting a ton of money from OpenAI's success. And I think OpenAI is trying to break away from some of that. And then Microsoft is using Copilot. That's a primary method of monetizing directly to the consumer. And I use Copilot. Copilot's very good. It's really cool. You just hit a button and it looks at your screen, and you can go through whatever you're working on, and it'll talk you through it and explain it and help you. And I highly recommend trying it out. It really works. I got my wife to try it and she loved it. So you may want to try that out. Now with Microsoft, let me see what else here. Also, Meta strategy, in my view, is a little different in the sense that Meta is basically trying to apply AI to their existing advertising tools. Advertising is their primary way of making money, so they're using AI to make advertising on their platform easier. So apparently, they're getting to the point where when you want to run a Facebook ad, you can hop in and you can just say, "This is what I want. This is who the ad is for. Make the ad for me," and they'll make the ad, set it up, target the people, and all you got to do is pay, which is pretty cool. If you run a business, you have to advertise. Anybody who's running a business, if you're not advertising the business, that might be the reason why your business isn't growing. I one thing I mentioned to a friend of mine who's running a business, and it's a good business, and I said, you have a good product, and you're really working your butt off. I said, but I said the thing about it is that sometimes we get tricked into thinking that all I have to do is make a great product and work really hard to tell people about it and deliver the product, and that's going to make it successful. I just post a million times on social media and all this, and it'll grow. And I'm like, yeah, but most business growth occurs because somebody deployed some capital. And that really is interesting to me because that really spoke to me about how the investor mentality is something that we still have to learn to embrace. The investor mentality, part of it, part of it, because we talked about financial consciousness. That's what this class is for, basically, economic elevation, elevating your thinking. One aspect of the investor mentality that I think you may want to consider that I don't know if everyone embraces is the fact that investors are people that don't have a problem letting go of money. Investors are people that will sign the front of the check as fast as they want to sign the back of the check. Paycheck people sign the back of the check. Investors are signing the front. And investing is hard because you're signing the front of these checks, putting all this money out there, and you don't know what you're going to get back. You don't know if it's going to work or not. In fact, you know that you're going to fail a lot. It's like basketball. You take a bunch of shots, and if you hit 50% of them, you're happy. And so basically, one thing I've noticed is that a lot of black businesses don't grow because the ad budget isn't there. There's no sort of consistent, structured effort to make sure that there's like broad-based advertising to make the business go. And then what will happen in some cases is when money gets made, uh, I my personal bias is that when money gets made, if you're an investor, then you're investing half of that money at least right back into the business, right? They call it the plowback ratio. Plowback ratio is directly connected to how fast your business grows. Most people I know, like I don't even tell people how much money I make because they're gonna misinterpret that number. So if I tell you, yeah, we made $100,000 last week or something like that, a lot of people are like, whoa, you balling. We can go to the club. You can buy you a Benz. You can get you a bigger house. And I'm like, no, because we made 100,000, but we spent 80,000 trying to grow the business, trying to plow it back into the company and run the operation. So I don't even talk about it. I don't talk about money, my personal money, that much for two reasons. One, because it's corny and it draws stupid attention. It drives me crazy. And this is one of the negative side effects of the Black economic revolution that I'm really proud of it, and I'm glad I played a part in pushing it forward. But one thing I hate is that we got too much influence from these damn rapper minded sons of bitches that have everybody run around like a dope boy. Like look at my private jet, look at my Benz, look at my car, look at what I got, making it rain and all that. And I can't tell you how many times I've had private conversations with people who were friends of mine. Those who know me well could probably read between the lines and know what I'm talking about. Where I've said, can we stop being so flashy? Can we just tone it down a little bit? We ain't Biggie and Pac. We're not. You're not making a rap album, dude. And this is where when I talk about money being connected to culture, hip hop culture is anti-wealth. It's anti-wealth because anything that teaches you to be like this is anti-wealth. How you going how one of the most important parts of wealth is preservation of your resources. Conservatism. Hold that. Well, you played little league football. Your coach told you to hold on to the damn ball. What are you doing? You throwing it down the field like with eyes closed. I coached. I know I'm scared sidetracked, but y'all know how. I remember I coached a I told you I had this horrible girlfriend a long time. I promise I'm gonna get to reason number two in a minute, but I got it. When I was at University of Kentucky, I had this terrible girlfriend. She was a really mean person, but she was on this flag football team. And they were horrible. They were like the bad. Anybody remember the Bad News Bears? Like they were terrible, and it was embarrassing. It was a team full of black girls, but the white girls were killing them. The white girls were coming out with strategy. They had the tomboys that were killing it. They knew what to do, and they had a coach that was like kind of a hippie type dude. He didn't really care, and he wasn't doing his job well. So they were getting their butt kicked so bad that he eventually quits. So my girlfriend, the horrible girlfriend I told you about from college, she comes to me and um, she says, we need a coach. And I'm like, well, I can be your coach because I like ball. So she's like, okay. So I come out and I coach them and I identify their talents. This is me. This is the 21-year-old Boyce. And I'm like, okay, she ran track in high school, so you're fast. Okay, you're kind of like a dude, so you're probably good at catching the ball. And she was like, it's like she wasn't real feminine, and I was like, okay, so that's good. That's an advantage right now, and she was damn good. And then I was like, okay, and you can kind of throw, but none of y'all can really throw that well. So we're gonna run an offense that takes advantage of our speed, like our genetic, because black, I believe we genetically, I think we got something going on, right? We're gonna use our speed. We're not gonna throw the ball down the field. There was one girl who knew how to throw really, she knew how to throw really far, but she had no accuracy. Her accuracy was terrible, right? But she could throw the ball far and she wanted to throw the ball. So I would tell them what the play is. And when they did what I told them, they would score touchdowns. They would just pitch the ball back to the running back. The running back runs around the white girls, and we won our first game. And they're all jumping up and down. They were super excited. I think we scored the first touchdown. Like literally, they hadn't scored a touchdown the whole season. They were terrible. And then the girl just decides she wants to throw the ball. I'm like, so I tell them to play, and literally, this is what happened. This is, I hope I don't sound triggered. I probably do, but I'm gonna run with it. So I would tell the team, I'd be like, okay, run this play, and she would go in, and the girl would say, okay, Boyce said, do da da da, and do you know what this lady said? She said, fuck Boyce. We're gonna throw the ball. So this dummy, this idiot, right? I'm thinking we're gonna run the ball again because that's been working. She pulls back and she would do the craziest thing. She would literally just haul the ball down the field and she would scream the name of the person she's throwing the ball to. I don't know where that comes from. I've never seen that in football, but that's what she did. She would go, and she would throw the ball down the field. Tomboy, which is an advantage. It's like a step short of having like a transgender player. The little white tomboy would she ran up and she would just get an interception every time. She knew she could just radar and she knew where the ball was going and she would like intercept the ball and she ran it back for a touchdown. We did it again. Later on I said, please run the play that I asked you to run. Please don't just do whatever just because we're gonna lose. She did the same thing. Threw the ball down the field. The tomboy picks it off, runs it back for a touchdown. So I was angry. I was angry. So here's my point. This is why I brought this random story up. I probably sound like a lunatic to half the people here, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep going. Um, you got to protect the ball. That's what they forgot about. That's what they did not consider. Look, and if you pass the ball, you must pass the ball accurately, and that's what I wish this lunatic had understood is that throwing the ball far is not enough. Making it rain on your friends and showing how strong your arm is isn't enough. If you can't throw the ball accurately, then don't throw it at all or throw it 5 yards instead of 50 yards. I don't care how far you can throw it. I need to know you're going to hit the receiver down the field. So the same thing is true with investing. Generally speaking, job number one, hold on to the ball. Job number two is think about where you're throwing the ball before you throw it. They call that investing, they call that due diligence. If half of us were able to do due diligence in our relationships, instead of picking the girl with the biggest booty or the man who's got the nicest penis or whatever it is that people use to pick their relationships, then black wealth would go up by $5 trillion because we would actually be able to marry and date people who make our lives better instead of trying to marry and date people who ruin everything and cost us all of our wealth at the same time. I saw that there's a guy, Billy Carson. He's pretty well known. I don't know. I think Billy and I, we kind of know indirectly know each other. My wife followed him and stuff, and he announced today that he's getting a divorce, and I felt bad for him. And I said, in America, divorces happen all the time. They're very expensive in terms of time. They're very expensive in terms of money. They are emotionally draining. Not only should we have licenses, just get a damn 5-year license, a renewable contract, because you ain't ready for a lifetime commitment, because you don't even know what a lifetime commitment looks like. But on top of that, you should be required to take a class before you do it. If you don't take a class before you do it, then chances are you're not going to make it. You're just not going to make it. You need to take a class that's going to teach you how to be patient. You need a class that's going to teach you how to communicate with the opposite sex. You're going to have to take a class that's going to teach you how to have humility. You're going to have to take a class that's going to teach you about what it's really like to be married instead of the fairy tale somebody fed you. You're going to have to take a class to learn how to put your ego to the side. You're going to have to take a class to know how to properly raise children. If we did that, if people did that, then they wouldn't be crashing the car so often. I'm tired of going to people's weddings where they tell everybody that spent all this damn money, took all this time. I done flew to Puerto Rico, and it cost me $2,000 to do it, and then you tell me 9 months later that you couldn't make it. I'm like, what did you think you were signing up for, dude? What bait and switch happened in your life that led you to make this major decision that is now going to be incredibly costly and be a mark on you for life, right? So my point is to say this: look, when you're talking about investing and wealth, first rule, hold on to the ball until you're ready to let it go. Don't just flip it around, give it to the defense. You're going to lose the game that way. Number two, when be ready to throw the ball when the time is right. When you throw it, take your time, pick your target carefully, make sure you can hit the damn target. Give yourself the highest probability of success you possibly can. And once, and then three, maybe a third one could be thrown in there. When you pick the target and when you know that you got a shot, don't hesitate. Go hard. Jalen Hurts lines up as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. He learned that protecting the ball was important because he had one fumble. He played an amazing game. He had one fumble that cost him the Super Bowl. But he didn't make that mistake last year. Eagles came back. Jalen Hurts played like a superstar in that game, right? So you hold on to the ball, pick your target carefully, and when you see the target and you believe it's going to work, you've taken what is called a calculated risk. That is when you know it's gonna you have a good shot at it working. You can't sit back in fear. If you hesitate, just like in sports, you hesitate too long, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna end up missing the shot or missing the target or throwing an interception. You got to go ahead and go for it, and then accept the fact that you're going to make mistakes. That's the other thing that really analogizes investing to sports. You're gonna have times where you mess up. It's okay. You got to keep going. You're gonna have times where you make investments and it's just gonna be the wrong move, the wrong play. I personally, sometimes I have to hear a lot of people who get hypercritical when they point out an investment that I've talked about that did not work out. Like they'll talk about something like the Tulsa Real Estate Fund as if somehow that defines every single investment that was ever made. I'm like, funds fail all the time, businesses fail all the time, investments fail all the time. Get used to it. If you're not ready to fail, then you should not invest. There are a million things out there that you're going to try to do that are not going to work. All you're looking for are a few things that actually do. And that's where wealthy people come from. If you talk to any millionaire, any billionaire out here, and you say, tell me all the different investments you've made that embarrassed you, that flopped, that did not do well, they would be talking to you all day long because what separates them from everybody else is that after they protected the ball, did their research and due diligence, they took a swing and they swung as hard as they could, and sometimes they swung and they missed. That is the mindset of an investor. So one of the challenges of the Black economic revolution is that they got us out here thinking like dope boys and rappers. Rap culture, unfortunately, it's anti-wealth. It's also very much anti-family, and I dare say that it's anti-black. It's incredibly anti-black. Those same people that push this crappy, shitty culture onto you are the same ones who are blowing up little babies in Gaza right now, because they don't believe that other human beings matter. Apparently, I have no idea, but it's something that you should vehemently reject. So generally speaking, if you want to build wealth, conservatism is the key. Flashiness is a threat to your legacy. Being too loud and obnoxious for no good reason is inappropriate, but also at the same time, being too hesitant and being afraid all the time will also keep you broke because you have wide open opportunity. God puts a big blessing right in front of you, and because you're scared or because you haven't dealt with the trauma or because you haven't gained the confidence to move when it's time, you miss that opportunity too. So establishing that balance is what's important. I would almost call it like a type of quiet confidence. Like shut up, stop being flashy, stop being a Negro, be a black man, be a black woman, and when it's time to move, make that move and make it boldly, knowing that there's some probability that you're going to make a mistake. There's also a very high probability that some Negro is going to laugh at you if you do make the mistake, but that's okay. You keep going because you know that at some point things are going to work out for you, and you're going to be up here, and they're going to still be down here talking crazy and acting like you just got lucky. That's how life works. That's me being as honest with you as I can possibly be. Now, with that being said, the second thing um, about money, I mentioned that I don't believe in being flashy with wealth, and then there was a second part, and I said I'd get to the second part, but I can't even remember everything. But I've talked enough about the other stuff anyway. So let's. How about we go back to AI and Microsoft, and then maybe the second part will come back to me. So forgive me for you know for going or in a circle like that. You either love it or you hate it. Some people hate it when I do that, and it's okay. I get it. I hate it too. All right. So here's another thing about the spending with AI. Right now, Meta literally was spending 60 to 70 billion dollars a year on AI infrastructure. And again, this is writing on signing the fronts of checks, right? So Zuckerberg is letting go of 60, 70 billion dollars a year to invest in AI. And you know what he said? He didn't say we're going to scale that back. He said we're actually going to increase it. Microsoft is spending between 30 and 80 billion. They're kind of keeping their cards close to their vest. They're going to likely increase it. And so the point of the matter is to say that they're telling you which direction this thing is going, right? The AI, there's going to be tremendous capacity built out in AI, and they're starting to get signals that this added capacity is actually turning out to be profitable for these companies. And as they see more evidence of profitability, Wall Street is giving them more of the green light to spend more. So sometimes Wall Street wants you to pull it back, right? During the pandemic, or I think it was it after the I think it was after the pandemic when interest rates got increased, they told them to pull back. They said, well, look, we don't want you to invest like that. We want you to slow down. But before that, they were saying, go for it. Just go. We don't even care if you're profitable now. We're not worried about profitability. And that's another thing too. Never measure businesses solely on profitability because that's a flawed measure of the quality of a business. So a lot of people will say, well, his business didn't make a profit. That means he failed. No, there's so many businesses that don't make a profit for 10 years. Some businesses are like, we don't even want to make a profit. Who cares if we make a profit? They're trying to acquire market share. Chinese companies do this very well, by the way. Chinese companies, the reason the Chinese have so much economic dominance around the world and they are an economic threat to other countries is because they don't care as much about profitability. So the government will subsidize companies and say, go in there. We want you to lose money. We want you to charge a price that is below your cost of producing the product. Like, so the product costs you $10 to make. We want you to charge $5 so that you can acquire customers, and then we'll make a profit later. Profitability will come at some point in the future. So sometimes when I hear people talk politically and they'll say, oh, he must be a bad businessman because he didn't make a profit. I'm like, that's not the right measure, right? The right measure of whether or not you're good or bad might have something to do with whether or not the business has a long-term probability of being profitable at some point. At some point, you eventually want to make your money back, but sometimes money is like a boomerang. It should never be a frisbee, but it should be a boomerang. And sometimes those boomerangs stay out there for a good, 20 minutes or so before they come back, and they come back with more momentum than you sent them out with. That's how a boomerang is supposed to work. Okay. So AI is not stopping. AI is very, very big. And these companies are at the forefront of AI. And I would encourage anybody who's looking at what's happening right now, I would encourage you to invest in some of these companies. And so, if you haven't got that list of AI stocks that I like, you can text the word stock to the phone number 87948, or you can go to my Instagram, which is Dr. Boyce Finance, and put the word stock in the comments of any video, and I'll send you the list that way. Also, if you text the word youth to the number 87948, we have some stuff for kids as well. I really believe that you definitely want to make sure your children understand economics at an early age. You do not want your kids out here struggling and suffering because you did not prepare them for the future. So text youth to 87948. We have financial flashcards and workbooks for kids and all kinds of other stuff that you can take a look at and decide if that's something that fits your family. So, and because I believe the biggest educational institution your child ever attends should be in their own house. Their parents should be their first teachers, and it's our job to make sure our kids are ready and not just prepared, but literally super prepared, extra prepared, right? It's not so much a matter of just saying I want to make sure you survive. It's saying like it's not that hard for me to make sure that you thrive. We know that if you invest just $100 a month in your child's future when they're little, they're going to have insane amounts of money by the time they get older. If you do $100 a week, then by the time your child is 30 years old, they've got, what is it? Maybe $500,000 or more in wealth. So one of the things that we're doing with our family is I have a niece and nephew. They're both very little. One is 6, one is 4, and we have a family trust, and we put money into the trust, and I'm going to make regular contributions into the trust. And just let the money sit there and grow. Just let it grow. And they won't know anything about this money until they're probably about 28, 29 years old. And then one day we'll just drop it on them and say, hey, you have a whole family bank right here, $1.2 million dollars that's available. You can borrow it, under certain conditions, or you can and you can receive dividends from this. So if you want to go to work every day, if you love your job and you want to keep working, you can. But if you don't want to work, you don't have to. You can travel Europe or do whatever you want. So this is the kind of life that our kids deserve. They deserve strong preparation to be able to live a soft life. And part of the reason that they get punished for being black, part of the reason they get abused for being black is because they're not protected. A child that is protected cannot be abused by anybody because they have people that are actually looking out for them. So economic protection, I think, is something that any good parent will do for a child that they care about. So prepare your kids, protect them. All right. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say today. I didn't know I was going to go on all these little rants and tangents. I don't know. Maybe there's some therapists out there that can psychoanalyze my mental health condition. But that's right. I'm married to one, so I'm going to go ask her what she thinks about this. So anyway, so I hope this was helpful. I hope you understand this. And again, just to finish, to nail down that last point about building your business, I just believe that I don't know if enough people understand the importance of investing. That's the point. If you make $50,000, do you have the guts to put 30,000 or 25,000 of that 50,000 back into the business to sustain what you have? Or are you going to take the 50,000 and go, buy a Mercedes or something? Like that's not gonna make things work because what you're doing is you're taking a big dividend, and companies that pay big dividends do not grow. I don't know if you know this, that literally companies that are growing don't pay dividends because they're reinvesting the money. The plowback rate is very, very high. Companies that stop growing start paying dividends because they're like, okay, we're done. Our best years are behind us. We're not going to get any bigger. So we'll just give money to the investors as we receive it. Do you understand the difference there? So ask yourself, am I running a company that I want to grow, or am I running a company that doesn't need to grow anymore? It's okay if you're in the second category, but I just see a lot of black owned businesses where people think that having a good idea and working really hard is going to be enough to make your business grow. No, if when you create that amazing product, there has to be an ad budget. And last story I'll tell them on this that's really interesting was I remember this guy who called me because people hit me up all the time when they have stuff that they're doing and stuff, and or I think I saw him at the convention, and he said I have this business, and it was a really great business. It was something related to engineering. He was an engineer, and he had a patent and it was really good. And he talked about how he won a competition. He raised $1 million or something, and he hired this staff and done all these other things. That's another mistake. A very common mistake is when you raise a lot of money, you tend to overspend. That's why sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you with a new business idea is to have somebody that writes a big fat check for your new idea. That's an untested idea. You don't know what's going to work. You think you do, but you don't. And so anyway, he got this money, this $1 million, and he spent all his money hiring people and doing all this other stuff and building the technology. And I said, well, what's your ad budget? I didn't see. I saw your projections. And the projections are always really optimistic. It's like first year we're going to make 100,000, then we're going to make 1 million, then we're going to make 10 million, then we're going to make 1 billion, and in 5 years we'll be making $1 billion a year. I hear it all the time. And I said, well, where's your ad budget? Do you have an ad budget? And he hadn't even thought about that. And I was like, well, like, do you think that if you build it, they will come? You think that that's what happens? And I think the internet tricks us into thinking that. Like, we'll see somebody that has a big platform with 2 million, 3 million people, and we really think if I do one viral video, I'm gonna have 2 million followers like them. I'm not saying it can't happen. Like Risa Tisa, it happened to her. Like Risa Tisa is the lady that did all those videos about her ex-husband. Again, due diligence. I wish she had done due diligence before she made that investment. But sometimes we invest with our feelings instead of investing with our head. But anyway, that happened with her. But a lot of people, you don't understand. Like a lot of things that you see that are big and blown up, like Club Shay Shay or Earn Your Leisure or anything like that. In the backdrop, there's typically some sort of investor that writes a big check. Like I think with Earn Your Leisure, I think Steve Harvey helped them to really blow their thing up, and there was a plan, and it worked, and I love it. I think I love those guys, right? But at the end of the day, somebody's got to write a damn check most of the time, especially if you want fast growth. And that to me is something you want to consider. So when you start your business, take, I would say, 20% of your total spending and put that toward marketing and really think about what that looks like from a structured way. Not just you telling all your friends about the business, but literally putting money into something that's going to make sure you're systematically advertising. In fact, how many of you, give me a yes if you've ever seen ads for our stuff for the Black Business School on the internet, anywhere, or on TV or anywhere? Anybody? Give me a yes if you have. Some of you may have come here because of an ad. Give me a yes. Okay, look at all those yeses, right? Like we advertise all the time, and it's expensive and it sucks because sometimes you want to just sit back and collect the money and go buy a yacht and a mansion, but you can't. You have to invest in it. If you want something to grow, if you believe in that idea, that's why I say that you can't go out and start 50 businesses because it's hard. It's really hard to make one really successful. But if you have something you love and you know that it's good and you have proof of concept that you know that you're delivering something that works for people, then put your money where your mouth is. That's my 2 cents. That's my thought process on that. I'm done. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. Don't forget allblacknationalconvention.com. The tickets won't be on sale after tomorrow. So if you want to join us at the convention, it's August 21st to the 23rd, 24th. We're going to take that Sunday too. In Atlanta at the Hilton. So it'll be nice and bougie and comfortable, but very, very pro-black. So the requirement to be there is you have to be pro-black. So we don't tell white people that they can't come in. We don't do stuff like that. So as long as you're pro-black, then you're welcome to come. All right. So God bless you. Have a good day, everybody.